Good evening. So on the heels of strong opposition to their eligibility rules, ISSA has decided to make things even tougher for student athletes. I, for one, have already voiced my disagreement with preventing high schoolers from playing sport because of poor academics, and this new rule peeves me even more. Among the new rules is that no student athletes who transfer among member schools more than once will be allowed to compete in ISSA-run competitions. There'll also be a limit or a quota placed on the number of transferred athletes each school can field in a particular sport. Football and cricket has a quota of 3, and track and field 2 per class. Now, I've heard the theory posited that these new changes will help level the playing field. Firstly, this idea of creating parity in many spheres of life has always been nothing more than a pipe dream. In the case of sports, there'll always be bigger teams and more attractive markets for people to ply their trade. At the local high school level, certain schools with history and tradition will always be more attractive and therefore be in higher demand than others. There are also schools that have better resources and better programs than others, and ISSA shouldn't try to limit students in their right to choose whichever institution they would like to attend for whatever reason they'd like to attend that institution. But there's also the reality that this specific change won't allow the so-called smaller schools to keep their student athletes. It just means they'll now lose those athletes to 3 or 4 bigger schools instead of just one. St. George's College Manning Cup head coach Neville Burtis-Bell said it best.
I think you must be encouraged to do what you're good at, and I think you must be encouraged to go where you can be as good as you want to be. I've always said this. High schools are academic institutions, and I applaud ISSA for attempting to get these youngsters to do academics. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the only person who should decide who represents their school should be the principal.
I'll add this. The biggest revenue earner and crowd puller under ISSA's umbrella is Champs. Now, Champs over the years has been dominated by schools who have had a number of student athletes transfers. Now, I've never heard of attendances or viewership decreasing at Champs because of super teams. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The popularity has now grown to where the meet is one of the best in the world, and world-class athletes are being churned out like clockwork. So why fix what isn't broken? If ISSA isn't careful, I think they risk sending high school sport back to the days when it was purely recreational. But then again, maybe that's what they want. I'm Jordan Fort. Good evening.